Hi, my name is Jason Stein, publisher of Automotive News, sitting in our Detroit, Michigan newsroom. And it is my great pleasure to be talking to Nikolai Ardey, who is the executive director of Volkswagen Group Innovation. Nikolai, a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, Jason, hello to you. And it's absolutely my pleasure and my honor to be interviewed by you.
Thank you. It's my honor to be with you as well. Let's first talk about, Nikolai, where Volkswagen Group Innovation sits today in the midst of what is a fairly unimaginable set of circumstances that's occurred over the last number of months.
Well, the actual situation is a little bit special, as you can imagine. So already without this actual crisis, it's already has been a challenging phase. So it's really exciting being an automotive engineer because of all these dramatic changes going on and all the transformation process, which is on the way. And well, suddenly this Corona crisis came into being, and this was somehow a shock for everybody. So we had this lockdown, and of course, this is as well as a societal, as also an economical shock for everybody, with let's say somehow a reset character. And well, in this time, at first priority, we have to stay healthy, and so we focus on our employees very much, how they can be protected. And so meanwhile, we ramped up our business again. So we are producing again in our production sites. And well, we keep our social distance, of course. We learned how to perform Skype conferences instead of meeting each other. And where it's necessary, we just have these hygiene measures and all the masks which we wear, and well, a lot of measures to protect our employees. Well, and of course, there's a lot of economical pressure resulting from the crisis. So the market went down, of course, and there are several markets which are that damaged that it will take a few years until they will recover, and this will be and result in a remaining economical pressure to us.
Have the technology needs changed for you, given the COVID-19 circumstances?
Yes, I guess so. So we observe at first a renaissance of the individual mobility. This can be seen in China already. And well, this corresponds more or less to the need to the demand on let's say, a protection space. So to have somehow a cocooning within the vehicle, within the owned individual vehicle. And of course, this has to be accomplished with accompanied by hygiene measures, how to get surfaces resistant or rejecting to viruses and microorganisms, how to have materials which can be cleaned easily, to have filter technology, filtering out the aerosols out of the ambient air. Well, and some more extended measures like UV light application and so on. And well, along with this, we think that this goes along with this also the demand on, let's say, more safety demands of the customers. So all the safety and security features we have in mind or in preparation are accelerated now in the development. And well, and the whole aspect and topic of healthcare will get a more intensive meaning now. So we are thinking about a lot of innovations accelerating in the development for healthcare products.
Without giving specifics, Nikolai, as it relates to your future product plans, What are some examples of where a customer might want a safer environment or might want more healthcare related technology in a vehicle?
Well, let's have a look to the China market, for instance. When you look to this overcrowded cities and the jammy roads, um, people spend a lot of time in their vehicles. And on the other hand, the healthcare system in China is rather complicated, and it's rather difficult to to undergo the journey from the first diagnostics from the first doctor until one can meet the right one which fits to the diagnostics. And for this reason, it is perhaps a good idea to have an internet doctor already available in the vehicle, and in combination with a few sensors, and in combination with the wearables you have connected to the vehicle, you can perhaps provide an initial diagnosis, and then guide the customer or the driver to the right destination within the medicine system. For this is just one idea, or to sense the several illnesses which are familiar, like sugar disease, which can be sensed by sensors within the vehicle and evaluated by the HMI system. Well, and of course, if you have a camera in the vehicle with the tracking system, or looking to your face, how you're sweating, how your eyes move, you can also get quite a number of informations giving you information about this constitution of the driver. And if you look to the startup community, you will find there startups providing devices measuring even the blood pressure without any entrainment.
Plenty of amazing advances that we could see coming down the road as a silver lining, if you will, in the midst of this pandemic. Let's talk about startups since you mentioned them. Do you feel that tech startups now are in a better or less advantageous position than established automakers to innovate in the mobility space, given the situation?
Yeah, in the given situation, I think the startup community is pressed down to quite an extent. So, as far as I learned from the public informations and our contacts, they are really under trouble. So, a lot of them just being about to have their investor in line and to start with them, lost the investors, and they all went back and are waiting. So some of them are in a really heavy trouble. So they need help.
Do you envision automakers lending a hand to certain tech startups and in fact taking advantage of this time to integrate more tech startups into a more traditional automaker space and take advantage of that technology?
Well, in general, this is something which we like and try to improve to have a more open access to them and to give them more open and easy access to us. This is the reason why we have this Connect entity in Tel Aviv, for instance, which is for us such a gateway to this unique startup community. Of course, this huge economical pressure, which also hits us, limits, of course, also our resources in order to to invest into venture capital. But nevertheless, the Volkswagen Group is just about to launch a venture capital fund and to put this on a more professional level in order to more target-oriented invest in strategic on a strategic level, invest into the startup community. So this will be a new initiative by the VW Group, which we already applied for before the Corona crisis.
What did you see as the most opportunistic pathways for that group to be established? Where was the most advantage for you?
Well, the most advantage for to connect to the startup community. Well, this is for us. It's well, something really of a really big advantage. So they have a culture of innovation, of development, of R&D, of making decisions, which is far away from how we are doing things, with a lot of committees, with a lot of to have to pass a lot of decision makers. It's rather complicated to take decisions in a company like of a size like VW Group. And it's amazing to see how these startups, how agile they are, how fast they are, and how engaged they are. And they put so much emphasis on and effort into their stuff. They're really burning for it. And this is something which hopefully infects us. And it's makes much fun to be connected to them. And I think it's the main lever to gain innovations for us at the moment.
Nikolai, let's talk a little bit about the Israeli mobility and startup community for a moment. All of the technology that exists within that ecosystem. How is that relevant for Volkswagen Group's innovation, and how do you integrate and test it?
Well, at first, I think the Israel startup community, or a little bit said more, a little bit in general, the entrepreneur culture in Israel is really unique, and startups are treated like stars in Israel. It's completely different in Germany, so it's absolutely amazing to be connected and to be integrated into this innovation ecosystem. So this is what our Connect entity is providing us. And there's of course also excellence in science coming from the universities, but especially in Israel also coming from military service. And all these really highly educated engineers and scientists there. To be connected to them is really of big and huge advantage. And then there's this unique focus on software, data science, and artificial intelligence, and all the features taking advantage of this, which are developed and invented by all the startups. So this is something which is unique in the world, and so it's absolutely a must to be there and to try to access this community.
Let's move to another region in the world and stay on the theme of a regulatory environment. Given your broad purview and all of the many brands that you have within the Volkswagen Group, let's talk about Audi. And Audi has so far disabled, and we've written about this in Automotive News, disabled the more advanced ADAS features on vehicles such as the A8 in parts of the world, including the United States, in part because of that regulatory environment. Was the technology not ready for the world, or the world not ready for the technology?
Well, I would say both. So the hardware, in fact, has been installed already in the Audi A8, and the functions have been also almost ready for at least to drive autonomously on the highway. But due to the today's legislations, you would have to stay behind the trucks because you always have to have a free lane right of you. So this would be the very right lane for the shutdowns. and the driving that slowly would not make much fun. So this is one limitation. Other limitation is that there's no regulation so far for the liability in case of accidents. So there's a lot of lacking of regulation, which prevented us from introducing the almost ready functions. And even though if the regulation would become now would get now be replaced, then we would introduce it for the next model, because the Audi A8 is just almost at the end of its life cycle.
Right. Let me ask you about the current environment, and more specifically, an atmosphere where people are working from home or wearing masks and gloves and social distancing. How has it been carrying out research and development activities in this new atmosphere? And has it hindered any aspects of development?
Well, in general, we just continued R&D work. So we never stopped and locked down our R&D departments. Obviously, it's more easily possible to do it by just home office. Lots of office work can be done at home. So all the colleagues, especially the managers, learned now that they can lead their team not only when the team is around them. So it works quite well. But nevertheless, of course, as prototype manufacturing has also stopped, there has been, of course, lags and shifts in time, because we are missing the required prototypes. So this will be, for instance, seen in the type approvals which we would have planned for the autumn this year. Because the testing with these prototypes was not able to be performed. So this was the limitations. And we divided our teams every team into two parts. We splitted them in order to minimize the risk. So one team, one half of the team has the possibility to be present in the offices or in the labs during the morning, and the other half during the afternoon. So everybody was able to use the local infrastructure in the offices or labs or workshops. But if there's an infection in a half of a team, the other half of the team was still operable and would not have been sent to quarantine.
I can imagine in all of your years of being in the industry, going back through your multiple roles, like everybody else, you could not have imagined the situation that we're in and trying to work in the situation that we're in. But if you could, identify maybe a silver lining or a ray of light in all of this. What will we learn from the pandemic that will make us better in the future in terms of innovation?
Well, in terms of general behavior, I think we would learn to more to better utilize all the digital stuff. So we learned how to handle it and got used to it. So this will definitely enrich our working culture now. So of course this is something which I would like to have it had earlier, before the crisis, already in place, because it's just advantages. And in terms of innovation, well, I don't see there a big difference, except the topics which we are focusing on now with all the healthcare topics and hygienics topics and issues, and all the cocooning demands of our customers are now new for us. So they haven't been there in front of the crisis. So I would see anything which I would have had made different in terms of innovation before the crisis so far.
Sure thing. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Nikolai, for a very engaging conversation. We've enjoyed talking to you, and wish you and your Volkswagen Group teams the best of health going forward.
Thanks a lot. It was my pleasure.